Guten Morgen to everybody. For most of us, probably all of us, this is the most unique, unusual Pesach that we have ever spent. Different, completely different from everything or anything that we ever had or even imagined. So let us analyze what is taking place. Let us analyze what's happening in front of us, its uniqueness, its impact, its message to all of us, both as Yechidim and as a Tzibur, both in terms of what we may be doing wrong and what we may be doing right, our milas and our chesronos. We have lost so much over the last few weeks. Rahman al-Islam. We have lost many precious individuals, people of sterling character, midas, precious Yidden, Talmidei Chachamim. They were chosen to be machaper on the door because of how special they were, because of their milas, because of their greatness. They were chosen from the tzibur to be machaper on the door. There are amongst us those who are suffering terrible yisurim, suffering more than others, much more than others, terrible yisurim. They were chosen because of their milos, because of their greatness. They were chosen to be machaper on the door. But the truth is that we're all suffering. That is what's so unique about this plague. That's what's so unique about this makkah, is that it spares no one. Everyone is suffering in one way or another. So let's try to analyze. Let's try to look at some precedents. Let's try to analyze events in history and some Amorim to achieve a better understanding of what the message is. What is the Rebbeinu Shalom demanding from us? We spent this Pesach, for the most part, locked up in our homes. We spent this Pesach, for the most part, locked up in our homes, which had an effect on us as Yechidim, which has an effect on us as a Tzibur. Our schools are closed. Bati Midrashim are closed. Chadorim, all closed. We had a time in our history when we were locked up in our homes, in Pesach Mitzrayim. And we spent the Pesach locked up in our homes. The mashpes was rampant. And we were only protected in our homes with the Dam Pesach and the Dam Milah. The Dam Pesach protected us. The Dam Pesach, which represents taking the Avodah Zorah of Mitzrayim and shechting it in front of their eyes, being Meiser Nefesh, to take their Avodah Zorah, to take that Avodah Zorah of Mitzrayim, shecht it in front of their eyes, and that dam protected us. We had to distance ourselves. We had to be Meiser Nefesh to distance ourselves from the ideology of Mitzrayim. We were in Mitzrayim, the Mem Teshar Tzuma, and we had to demonstrate our commitment to the Rebbeinu Shalom, our commitment to the Oved Hashem, to be Meiser Nefesh, to take that Avodah Zorah and completely eradicate it from our lives, from our hearts, to distance ourselves and sever any connection, any tie to that Avodah Zorah, and that's what protected us in Mitzrayim. And we had the Dam Milah, the schools of Dam Pesach and Dam Milah, to eradicate, to separate ourselves from the taivas from Mitzrayim, the desires of Mitzrayim, the decadent culture of Mitzrayim, to sever that connection to their taivas, the nefesh, behemoth of Mitzrayim, to the gross desires of what Mitzrayim was. And that separation, Dam Pesach and Dam Mila, that protected us. Today, the call of the day is social distancing. We have to separate ourselves. There's social distancing. We can't come close to the outside world. Well, maybe the message is that in the past, we didn't adequately practice social distancing. The clarion call today is social distancing, and maybe in the past we relaxed in that. And maybe the culture and the ideology of the world around us, maybe that crept into our world. And maybe it even crept into the most heilig institutions of our world. Maybe it even crept into our forms of entertainment, the way we celebrate Yom Tov, even our chasanas and even our chadorim and yeshivas. And maybe the message is that now, physically, we're going to be forced to practice social distancing, but we have to separate as well. We have to practice this separation on a spiritual level as well, and a ruchniistic level. And we have to create the barriers from letting this virus invade our world, invade our lives, and invade our institutions. And that might be even a much harder task than physical separation. We recently learned in the Daf Yomi, Shabbos Daf Lamed Gimel, that because of the Avera of Chilul Hashem, Hadrach Mishnayim, because of the Avera of Chilul Hashem, the punishment is that the streets are desolate. People are afraid to go out and walk in the streets. The streets are desolate because of the Avera of Chilul Hashem, and the streets are empty. There's natural forces of nature that make it dangerous and frightening to go out in the world, to go out in the streets, because of the Avera of Chilul Hashem. What a terrible, terrible Chilul Hashem that exists in our world right now. In the midst of this pandemic, when the whole world should be uniting together, and certainly the Jewish world should be uniting together, in Eretz Yisrael, in Artzainu, HaKadoshah, so-called leaders of the Jewish people who are no leaders at all. They pursue their own selfish interests at all costs, have the chutzpah, the audacity to send messages electronically on Shabbos, slandering the Haredi community, the community in Bnei Brak, vicious lies, slander, the modern blood libel, to pursue their own interests. What an unthinkable Chilul Hashem to send messages electronically on Shabbos, sowing discord at a time when the world is threatened, when this pandemic engulfs the entire world. Chilul Hashem is rampant. And where it says that for the Avera of Chilul Hashem and the associated Averas of Chilul Hashem, Shulas Shah and Chilul Shabbos, people are afraid to go out in the streets. There's so much Chilul Shabbos in Eretz Yisrael, and so much Chilul Hashem. But we in our world dare not be complacent and smug. Are we careful enough with Kol Shem Shemayim, and that there shouldn't be a Chilul Hashem? Are we really the people that the world holds up high and says, this is the Am Hashem, their sterling character, their midas, their refined nature, and how careful they are, bein Adam l'chaverei, and not to create any kind of Chilul Hashem? Are we really careful enough in our public gatherings to ensure that it's all done b'ne'imus, bein Adam l'chaverei? And perhaps, even though we learn public comment about Matzim, about Batzim, even Rav, but perhaps we're not really careful enough in Choshen Mishpat. Perhaps, even though we learn Question Mishpah. But when it comes to practice, and when it comes to practice particularly in public arenas, public areas, we're not careful enough. We're not careful enough that there should always be a kovod shem shamayim and not chas v'sholom achilul Hashem. And part of our chinuch, perhaps, should be more, much more, to ensure that our conduct between each other and vis-a-vis the outside world is one that will always ensure kovod shem shamayim and not chas v'sholom leave an opening on a Pesach for people to look down at the Amah Torah, at the B'nai Torah, and that chas v'sholom there should be no chilul Hashem. In the end of Sefer Shmuel, the Navi relates that at the time of Dovid HaMelech, there was a terrible, terrible plague. And 77,000 people died. And then the Malach HaMashbes rose up his hand against Yerushalayim, rose up his hand to destroy Yerushalayim. Until the Rabbi Shalom, however, restrained him. Rabbi Shalom, in his great mercy and his infinite mercy, restrained him and said, "Stop. Enough." And at that juncture, the Malach HaMashbes was standing by the garden of HaRav Yebusi. And God Navi came to Dovid HaMelech and said, "Build a mizbeach on this site, and the plague will stop." So Dovid HaMelech, with his men, came to Aravna. Aravna looked up and asked, "Why have you come?" And Dovid HaMelech said, to build a mizbeach on this site, to be makir korbanos, to stop this terrible plague. And Aravna said, "I will gladly give you this site. You don't have to buy this land. I will gladly give it to you. And the cattle, you can be makir korbanos. And the threshing tools, you can use that for firewood for the mizbeach." And Dovid HaMelech said, No, I will not accept a gift. I will not build the mizbeach Hashem and be makir korbanos by means of a gift. I will buy it from you. So he paid 50 shekel kesef. And this mice is related in Divrei Yomim, and in Divrei Yomim it says it cost 600 shekel. The Chazal explain that it was 50 shekel from each Shevet, but each Shevet participated. And they all together participated 50 from each Shevet from the 12 Shvatim, and together they bought this land, this site, to be makir the korbanos, to stop the plague. This site, which would be the location for the Beis HaMikdash. And what is the connection between this mizbeach and this land and the plague? And why did this bring an end to this terrible plague? The Radak says, Al Pi Chazal, that they were punished with this plague. They were punished because they didn't yearn for the Beis HaMikdash. They didn't yearn for kovod shamayim. They didn't yearn for the kovod of the Shekhinah and the hashros of Shekhinah. They didn't yearn for it wholeheartedly, for the Beis HaMikdash, for the kovod, the glory of the Shekhinah and hashros of Shekhinah, and that's why they were punished. And now, when they came together to buy this land, and they all participated, the plague stopped. Now, this would seem to be somewhat of a pella, because we know that the plague came about because of the avera of the counting of the people. Dovid HaMelech counted the people. He counted the nation. And we know that's why the plague came. But perhaps the shot is that the counting of the people put a spotlight on them. What it did by counting the people was put a spotlight on them and brought out, revealed what their chesronos were, revealed what the shortcomings were. But in fact, what the shortcoming was not yearning for the Kavod Shemayim. And now, and they all came together and wholeheartedly wanted to participate in Kavod Shemayim, Bimakr Korbanos, the Mizbeach Hashem, on the site of the Beis HaMikdash, purchasing the land for the Beis HaMikdash, the plague stopped. But something else happened as well. They now had the site of the Beis HaMikdash. The plague stopped. But they also now had the site of the Beis HaMikdash. They had the foundation for Kavod Shemayim, for Gilui, Shechina, Ashros HaShechina. They had the foundation for the crowning glory of our nation. And out of this tragedy came the future, the crowning glory of Klal Yisrael. Right now, we have a plague. The world is engulfed by this plague. Klal Yisrael is engulfed with this plague. And we're being tested. We're being punished for our shortcomings. Our chesronos are being revealed. But we are also being tested. And we're being tested because of our milas. We're being tested because of the great capacity that we have. And the Rebbeinu Shalom is moaning from us. You can do more. You can be better. You have the potential to be much better. We're being tested. This year was perhaps, of all the years in the Golus, perhaps this year was the year of most outstanding Kodshim Shemayim. There were massive siyumim across the entire globe. The B'nai Torah coming together and proclaiming the primacy of Torah. Kihem chayenu v'orach yamenu v'nege yom v'layla. Klal Yisrael calling out that the Torah is everything. This is our life. And gathering together in the most wonderful, outstanding demonstrations of Kavod Torah and Kavod Shem Shemayim. And now our yeshivas are closed. Our Bata Midrashim are closed. So we're being tested. The Rebbeinu Shalom is mourning. You declare that Torah is everything. You declared in front of the whole world that b'schus ha-Torah yinotzel ha'olam, that with the schus of the Torah the world will be saved. Well, the world needs a savior right now. The world needs to be saved. B'schus ha-Torah yinotzel ha'olam. So let's see. Demonstrate to me, when there's no fanfare, when the shuls are closed, and the Bata Midrashim are closed, do you really believe b'schus ha-Torah yinotzel ha'olam will save the world? Save the world right now. Without stimulus, without fanfare, without even a base medrash. That kihem chayenu, that this is everything, Torah is everything. When you can't go to the base medrash, are you prepared to take tests? 30 blood, 120 blood. Kinyan Torah, Kinyan Shas. Are you prepared to be a Shas Yid, a Dirshu Yid, locked up in your home? Substituting as a mother's helper at the same time. Are you still prepared? Is your Benai Mulach Haveirah? your shalom bias? Is it going to be with a shining countenance, even when the sun is not shining? You want your husband to be a Talmid Chacham. That's the most important thing. Are you still prepared to be Meiser Nefesh? That'll be a Talmid Chacham even when the kids are at home and they're not in Cheder and they're not in base marriage. We are being tested. We're being tested as Yechidim. We're being tested as a nation. So let us join together and rise. Rise to this challenge. Rise to this Nisoyan, to overcome this Nisoyan and overcome this challenge. And let's demonstrate to the world that we are Toicha Kibarei. Let's call out and demonstrate to the world that we said that B'schus HaTorah Yinotzel HaOlam, and that's what we believe in our hearts. Let's rise to this challenge and be B'nai Torah and be Erel Chayidin. Toicha Kibarei. In the midst of this challenge, through these Yisurim, let's demonstrate to the world, and more importantly, let's demonstrate it to ourselves, that we are Toicha Kibar, that Torah is everything, and Kavod Shamayim is everything. And we will emerge from this Nisoyan. We will emerge as a shining Am Hashem. And we will demonstrate to the Rebbeinu Shalom that with all our chesroinus, we still truly are His Mamlechas Kohanim Begoy Kodesh, the nation that He loves so much. And out of this tragedy will come the foundation for the future crowning glory of Klal Yisrael. And we will, Be'ezus Hashem, emerge from this with freiliche Herze, with hearts full of joy, greeting the Goyel, Bimher B'Yameinu. Amen.